And welcome to another episode of Evil Live. I'm your host, the Evil Tyrone. We got a very special guest in the building today. We got Kirsten, Keeton, director, writer in the building. Say what's up. How are you feeling tonight?
Hi guys, feeling pretty great.
Yes. Thank you for joining. I'm very excited, especially, to chop it up with, about our favorite genre, and also,
Oh yeah.
what you got going on with Deliver Us, and you stepping into to another arena. It's pretty exciting. So how does it feel stepping into the director's chair?
Oh, it's fun. I've done some like you do student films, you do assistant directing in the past, but this is like the first one where I'm really like putting money into it and really have a team assembled together. And I don't know, it's something a little bit more serious, but I'm still having fun with it. And yeah, I'm really excited to see, where all my film knowledge goes and how it translates onto this short, and then hopefully in the future onto a feature. So
Yes. And I see you're working with some super talented people. How did you get connected? How did you get connected with those people?
well, first of all, I met um my main producer, Terrence Kelsey. Shout out to T if
Yes.
he's watching. Basically there was like a networking event at that AT&T and T and Warner Bros were doing together. They used to do them like every year. And at that event, you could set up to meet people beforehand. And so I know he was looking for writers basically on this in this pilot that he's developing. So I was like, oh, let me schedule to meet him. And we got to talking, and just as far as like horror, but film in general, like our love for, Quentin Tarantino films and all
Yes.
that kind of stuff. Like just our tastes were very similar. Um, and similar enough to where it's like, oh, you know what I mean, we're on the same page, but also different enough to where it's like, oh, you can put me on to different stuff. And so we became really cool and friends, and started working in his writing group, with a few other very talented writers. And it became like a club in a sense. So it was like we were creating this outline for this pilot, but then also kind of learning about everybody else's taste in film and in horror, and in every other genre as well, and just kind of talking about the latest releases and just kind of learning each other through our film taste. And that was really cool. So when I wrote Deliver Us, the short, I sent it to T, of course, to be one of the first people to read it. And he was like, do you want to make this? And I was like, yeah, I'd like to make this. And he was like, well, I want to help. Da, 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 da. So it became one of those things. And he was like, and I know a few people that I could bring on. And so then that's where we got, Jason Hampton's involvement, who's another producer. And then that's when we got Darren Scott's involvement, who's the executive producer.
Yes.
And yeah, and it's just been kind of rolling from there, bringing different people on. Iva Treese, we have Jay Goldberg. Yeah, just we have our composer, Chris Causey, just a lot of cool, talented people who really love the genre. And it's been fun kind of piecing everything together. Of course it's a lot of work, but that's what's a part of it. That's, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
and not just like the creative work, but as far as just like the day to day, like what, budget wise, what do we need to do this, and how many cameras do we need to make this happen, and all that kind of stuff. And I hate to sound like I'm like, oh, everything's positive and stuff like that, but I do like the minutia of that. I do like the conflict that comes out of that. Like, you know what I mean? I like, I don't know, I like talking through all those things and dealing through those with those different kind of, you know, technical stuff outside of just the creative. So it's been
Yes.
very satisfying to work on it.
Awesome. Now the story, which is interesting to me. Influencers, like
Hmm.
what about that? What about like the whole influencer culture made you want to write something about that?
Surprisingly enough, people assume always that it's like it came from like a critical place. And I'm
Yeah.
just, in my mind, not really. It's in my mind, I thought of it as, hey, like everything else, it's a double-edged sword. And I wanted to kind of I kind of wanted to explore that world a bit, because I feel like influencers these days, it's another method of kind of financial and social mobility. And it's a way to kind of gain popularity without having to, go the traditional route. It kind of set more of an even playing field for people who do want to kind of, become a brand, or, you know what I mean, represent a brand, and then, become a brand themselves. I don't know. It's like an evolution. And I just thought, I don't know, I thought that whole aspect was fascinating. Initially though, I was going, because I love Stephen King, my focus was supposed to be like a famous author.
Yeah.
But then I talked to some friends about it, specifically one, Jacob Swanson and Emily Price. They're, actress DP couple, and they were. I was basically, telling them what the story was, sent them a copy of like their early version of the script, and they were like, "Hey, you know what?" Jacob was like, "You should make your main character an influencer." And then I was just like, from there, was just like, why didn't I think of this before? Like, I was so stuck on like, oh, author and da da da, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get my Stephen King bag, da
Oh
da da
yeah.
da, like, but because he normally focuses on writers and stuff like that, but the influencer thing, aspect of it, it just opened up a whole world of different possibilities for the story and for the character. And then it, I wasn't writing it initially for it to have like a specific meaning. You think like, oh yeah, it kind of means this to me, but then it starts to evolve. And now it's at a place where it's kind of, crystal clear as far as like what I'm trying to say, and how I feel, how I didn't even know I feel about like consumerism and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's been kind of pretty like, it's become personal,
Yes, yes.
so
Yes, but I
yeah.
think that's the best like art though. Like when you create something and then it comes together, and someone may watch it, or they may read it and they're like, "Oh, were you trying to say this?" Or I felt this way, or and you as the writer, you start to come up with something and you're like, "Oh, wow, I didn't even know." It's just, but it's that expressing yourself and you getting it out, and finally, just getting all those ideas and feelings out, and you didn't even know that you felt that way.
Yes, yes. That's what I'm most excited for too. Once we finish it, it's just like the interpretation of what do you think this means? Because I mean, where you have the influencer aspect of the story, you also have the family aspect of the story. The film focuses on, of course, our main influencer, and then also her cousin, who she's had, like a friction with.
Yes.
And so it's focusing on like, a relationship between, best friends, sisters, close friends, which is like what, I pulled from my real life. So I don't know. I'm excited to see how it plays out once we actually like, film it and stuff like that. Cause one thing to write it and plan it out and everything tone wise and stuff. But, once we get to film it in the fall, I'm excited to just kind of see how the chemistry goes with our lead actors. Mio Chabine, who's
Yes.
also a filmmaker, she's going to be our lead actress. So I'm excited to see how her and the other co-lead kind of play off each other, and yeah, and how it turns out.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited. Everything that you guys are doing, so far, and everything that I know about, the project. Like I was lucky enough to contribute a little bit to the ad.
Dude, thank you so much for your involvement. It really is just like, when you're making something, or I'm sure when you started this channel, it's like I didn't go, well, speaking for myself, I didn't go into it with a lot of expectations of who would want to help out or who would want to be a part of it, who would support.
Yeah.
It just kind of just, it is what it is. This is what I'm doing, and I'm always of the mindset of, if it's what you want to do, don't worry about, like, nobody cares. Basically, I think of it like in a good way. Nobody cares what you're doing, so you can do whatever you want. That kind of freedom.
Facts.
Like, hey, nobody's paying attention. You know what I mean? It's not affecting anybody else's life. Da, da, da. That's what my mom used to say to me when I used to feel self-conscious. It's like, nobody, you know what I mean? Nobody is, you know what I mean? It's not about you. It's just, nobody's thinking about you like that. Go ahead and do what you got to do. And then, so it's nice to see people like care. And then the people that want to get involved just being so like positive and cool about it, and and willing to work with me and with my ideas and bringing their own ideas. So it's been very gratifying.
Yes, yes, and I
So
love it. Just doing what you want to do, not thinking about, the outcome and everything. 'Cause I think that's when the best creativity flows, like you're that raw energy. You're not thinking about like, oh, I gotta cater to this audience or that audience. You're just, putting it out there so the creativity can
yes.
flow,
Now I will say I'm still gonna keep all that stuff in mind though.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing. And you don't want to make them. I know, a lot of people say, "Oh, make the movie for yourself," and da da da. But it's like I'm making it for myself, but I want people to enjoy it too. You know what I mean? And
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. It's towing that line, balancing it out. But I'm having fun.
Yeah, you want to be proud of it, especially
Uh
in the future when you look back, you're like, oh, this was my first baby right here, and
huh.
you want to because a lot of people they're embarrassed and they're like, but and some people they have like they make like small masterpieces, but they're still like, but you can tell you're like, oh, what are you talking about? Like you're just this is great, like but I feel like the energy that I'm seeing behind this project, I feel like it's gonna be something dope. It's gonna be something dope. I can't
Ah, thank
can't
you.
wait to see what you guys come up with.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
can't wait for you to see it.
oh yes, oh yes. Now, as a director, I have a question for you. Which series or like franchise would you like to be behind the helm of? Like as far as horror,
Ooh,
you know.
ooh, that's such a good question. Oh, Jeepers Creepers, because I feel like
Oh,
that's my favorite horror.
yeah.
Favorite Jeepers, the first one.
Yeah,
No,
the
to be
first
clear,
one.
the first one. Favorite, hands down, horror film of all time. Like the kind of replay value on that kind of film.
Yes.
There's only certain films that have that where you love it and it's great and it's effective, but you watch it again and it's still just as effective. I feel like there's so much opportunity within that franchise that I would love to take a crack at it so bad, so bad. I would love to. Love Jeepers Creepers. That
Yes.
whole yes,
Yes.
yes,
So you would go more so of the feel of the first one, of the and not
yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. Basically, I would like to explore. I don't know if they've done this in the most recent sequel. I still haven't watched it, The Rebirth. But I would like to see more. So I know they did a prequel kind of on the second one, but I'd like to dig into the stories that, when Derry and his sister Trish go in and they find all those, or specifically Derry, when he finds all those bodies down there, like
Yeah.
the people that were like in, spoiler alert, whatever. Everybody's probably
Yeah,
already seen it
everybody's
by
saying
now.
it's
But
yes.
yeah, the bodies that were all, I would like to do, or maybe like a mini series of exploring what happened to the different bodies on the wall. Like the camera comes into the creeper's cave and then you go into like a certain, person's body and then something's interesting about it. And then that's where you start the story with like an article of clothing or, something,
Yes.
remember one character had like a ring on, like you start it there and then you like expand. I think that would be a fun kind of
Ooh.
mini thing.
Wow. That makes a lot of that would be interesting. That makes a yeah, you should be behind it. You should be behind the remake or the reboot or
Oh, there's so many. I love this is the thing. People, they like to shit on reboots all the time. Why don't they make it until it's good, right?
yes.
So once it
Yes.
comes out and it proves itself, like I love it's like an essential part of storytelling. We will, as a society, as people, we retell stories over and over and over again.
Yes.
So if you find a story where characters or something about it resonates, whether it be the antagonist or the protagonist, what's wrong with retelling it? As long as it's, you know what I mean? In the hopes of it being good. Like, I love the re-imaging, especially when we have new technology now to make it all look better and more exciting. So, I mean, I'm all for all that stuff. Like, yeah, I love it all. It's all
Oh yeah.
storytelling.
Oh yeah, and you just sold it to me. You just sold it to me. Michael
Yeah.
Michael Anthony he said that was a great film. It was. But you
Yes.
were talking about like if we could just go into the creature's lair and each artifact pretty much in there would tell a different story. That
Yes.
because I was thinking, like, when you mentioned Jeepers Creepers, I'm like, okay, are you going to stick to the 27-year thing or whatever? Are you going to shorten the years,
Oh, I
when
would
he
stick to the
appeared?
years because I also, love period pieces myself. So going into the past is also something fun. So
Yes.
we're used to Jeepers Creepers in like the contemporary setting. You know what I mean? Something that feels modern day. If you were to go back to say when the creeper was, getting people like maybe back in the 40s or 50s or whatever, you know what I mean? If you go back those kind of years or pick a year in the past, I think
Hmm.
that would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it'd be super dope. It'd be super dope. I'm digging it. I'm digging. You sold me because
Yeah.
I was not, I was like, okay, Jeepers Creepers. I don't know where, we could go with that, but you just sold me. We
That's
could we could go a whole we could do a whole
the thing.
series.
Yes.
Netflix cut the check. Well, not Netflix. They
Yes.
they only gonna give you one season. Uh
No,
we gotta
I
go
actually would prefer that. One season?
one
Because
see.
think
Oh, you
about
just want
how many films is like an hour-long series, right? And you say
mm-hmm.
you have 9 episodes. It's like making like 9 mini movies. That's how I think of it.
9 mini movies. I like that. I like that. See, and even Michael, shout out to Michael. Thank you for joining us. Michael says he loves that idea. Yes, yes. Now my next question would be what how did you get into the horror genre? Like, what is your horror origin story?
Man, it's kind of like a lot like my film origin story. Like we used to watch everything when I was little. Everything for as far back as I can remember. My parents and my aunts and everybody always had the premium cable package. So
Yes.
nothing was going missed. You know what I mean? I would mosey on over to HBO and Showtime, Stars, Cinemax, everything. And, horror made the most impression, of course, because it's, as a kid, you have like your fears and stuff like that. But then horror introduces kind of new fears or plays up on existing fears that you have.
Yes.
Like, child's play, where as a kid you think, oh, it would be cool if my dolls came to life, but watching Chucky, then you're just like, actually probably not so much a good idea. And then you have a time frame when you're like afraid of your dolls because of watching Chucky. So
Yes.
yeah, as far back as I can remember, that was like the only genre that I've grown to respect it more and more as I got older, just because there's so much you can do with it. You can make, you can tell a horror story, but have a whole bunch of different genres, mixed into it, and it can become, I don't know, it just becomes a more poignant film, I think, because it's like the main genre of the film, say, but then you add in elements of romance or drama or adventure, all those things, and it becomes like, you know, bigger than what it is. Or you can make the crappiest horror film ever and people still want to watch it because it's entertaining, it's funny. It's like if the horror film always, you can count on horror films to always be entertaining. That's what I'll say. So when I was
Yes.
a kid, always entertained by it, whether it was cheesy, whether it was funny. I remember one of the earliest memories of a horror film that we watched. I feel like we watched them all, and I don't even know which order, but I know Child's Play was like the main one that we watched over and over again, that we had probably no business watching. All the slasher movies, um, all the classics. I remember my aunt, one day she had Night of the Living Dead planned, the
Oh,
original. Oh,
classic.
loved that movie as a kid. Just those that kind of replay, in the back of your mind. I mean, there's a reason why Thriller is like the most popular music video of all time. It's just because when you watch that kind of stuff at an impressionable age, you always kind of, it sticks with you, what you're afraid of, and I think that's just amplified, as we get older. And it's one of the reasons why it's the most like consistent genre to kind of do well in the box office, I think, is just because people always want to get out and go watch something that's gonna, excite them, thrill them,
Facts.
So I don't know. It's I feel like I've been indoctrinated into horror. My dad, my dad and my mom both, like, my mom, she scares easily. My dad doesn't. So it'd be cool watching films with them, and then all my siblings, and then that would be what the genre movie that we like watch together the most. So like say for example, like when The Others came out, or later on when like The Grudge came out or The Ring, and we'd be all downstairs watching the movie and everything would be dark. My dad would turn all the lights off and he'd be like, hey, Kirsty, go upstairs and grab me my pillow. Da da da. Like, you know what I mean? And then of course, one of us would be dumb enough to be like, okay, we go upstairs, we grab it, we come back, and then he'd like be there to like scare us on the stairs. So it's just like, that's always been like a positive memory of mine. Even though it's terrifying, it's fun. Horror's always been terrifying but fun, comedic sometimes. Like I don't know. It just has. I relate positive things to it all.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I love the fact that you said, it's even if it's bad, people can still have fun. Like I went and saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey recently, and
I
that
haven't
was,
seen that yet.
yeah,
It's good.
it's 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 so bad it's good. I had such a good time laughing, cracking up, just being like, what am I watching here? But they did the thing
Oh,
as
it's the
far as the
best.
slasher aspects, it's just fun. It's just pure fun.
Oh my gosh, yes, dude. I recently watched Scream 6. Example of a
Yes.
franchise that just keeps finding its legs. I love what they did with the last one, so I was like, I gotta see this next one again. And I saw it in theaters actually like on Tuesday. And the right in like before like the movie really, really takes off, like the lights went out or the lights went on in the theater. And then we had an announcement that there was like something going on, like I forgot how they phrased it, but basically we had to exit the theater. And so everybody was just kind of like, what? And you kind of hear rumblings of like, oh, is it a shooting? Is it this? Is it that? And so we all exit. And I just remember like, oh my gosh, like my heart beating out of my chest, and then we're all exiting the theater. Turns out it was a
Wow.
false alarm. Somebody was vaping in the bathroom. So, so we all got to come inside. But then we had to come back, sit, and finish the movie and it just like, I was like, this is why I love watching horror movies in the theater, because just kind of you have experiences like that, and it's like a communal, like, oh, we're terrified. And I don't know, I like that feeling.
Oh yeah, there's certain like I've really enjoyed the latest Scream, by the way. Like I really really enjoyed it. It's up there for me, like top 3 Screams, of all time. But I really enjoy like watching horror movies. Like some horror movies, I feel like they're meant to be watched alone, like something like a Skinamarink, where I could just put my headphones on and just soak up what's going on. But then some movies, I feel like I need that crowd reaction because it's just something about it. And then I
Yeah.
remember in like my past, like there's certain movies that stuck out to me because of that theatrical experience. So do you have any like movies that stuck
Oh
out to you as
yeah.
far as
Oh my
theatrical?
gosh. I will say Jeepers Creepers 2. I think that was one of the first. That was one of my dad only took us to see horror movies. I realized that in retrospect. My mom took us to see them all, but when my dad would gather us up, he took us to see horror. We saw Jeepers Creepers 2. That was a fun experience with just me, my brothers, my dad, and then The Mummy, when The Mummy first
Mm,
came out. And I still, in my mind, I still consider that horror, even though it's like one of those genre bending ones, because they marketed it a certain way. I remember when I was younger.
yeah.
And I remember that experience was just like, I don't know, it made me obsessed with Egypt and stuff like that. But then I was also scared at the same time, but it was an adventure flick and romance. And so I don't know. The Mummy feels like pretty general, but that was like my first, I think, like horror movie experience in the theater. Everything else is at home. So
Yeah.
like not many crowd reactions except for like my brothers, my sister, and then my parents. So that's where I kind of got my cues. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, there's nothing like, watching a movie at home and, like you said, getting the pillows, getting the blanket, cutting the lights out and, just turning the sound all the way up and just being totally immersed, especially like in a period of when VHSs were popping, and you just,
Blockbuster Reynolds,
yeah, Blockbuster
Hollywood
Reynolds,
Video.
just rewinding them tapes back, rewinding the tapes back. Like we had the type of VCR where if the tape would run out, like it would automatically rewind itself. And that's how I would watch like movies like what is it, The Curse of Michael Myers, or Child's Play
Mm,
2, which is
that's
up
my favorite
there.
Child's Play.
Oh, that's my favorite too. That's what I was gonna ask you. I was like,
Child's Play.
yeah, Child's Play
Yes.
2. What's your favorite scene out of that one?
Oh, I have to say, I'd have to say it's a scene where Chucky actually attacks the babysitter. What's her name? And he's like
Oh,
jumping on her back.
Kyle.
Yeah. I love just watching his little legs kick around. Like, that was the thing. We would laugh at that as kids, but then we'd also be scared about it at the same time. It was so many conflicting emotions. Like, we liked Chucky, but we were afraid of Chucky. We liked Andy. We wanted him to live, but at the same time, it was just like, we wanted to see Chucky kill. It's just it's a lot of conflicting emotions there watching that. I love Child's Play.
Oh, Child's Play is top tier, top tier.
Oh my
Did you
God.
check out the Chucky TV show yet?
I did. I did watch some of the first season. It had a lot going on. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. And then I did watch the reboot too, the one with the Aubrey Plaza.
yeah,
I did like where they were trying to go with it. I did appreciate that. But it's just something about Charles Lee Ray. Just, you know what I mean? The
yeah.
fact that he used a little magic, and I don't know, I like that mystical aspect of it. So making him like a pure, like kind of like what they did with Megan now. I think that was a little bit more appropriate than taking Chucky and giving him that kind of origin story. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah. I saw Buddy. They called him Buddy in the I
Yeah.
was like, but the TV show was where it was at.
Mm-hmm. TV show's fun.
Like I feel like, especially like this season, they ramped it all the way up. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, y'all taking me back to the beginning. Like, pretty much every character, like they leave no stone unturned. They go everywhere with it. It's up there.
Okay, I might
Yeah.
have to jump back in then. I got a
Yeah.
whole bunch of shows on my docket, but I
I know.
will I will cut back in. I will cut in Charles Lee Ray. I will let
Oh,
him back.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. He definitely deserves it. And I totally understand, with the backlog, because especially like being a horror fan and getting so many like recommendations and stuff, and it's so much stuff going on, and we're in like a great time in horror right now, to where
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
you can it's so much stuff to soak up. But also, as a creator, you want to create, so you got to have that balance. So you're like, all right, I don't want to soak up so much that I'm,
Oh
taking
yeah.
away time from creating.
Yeah. I've tried to actually not watch as much horror lately. I like to balance it out, like, because I don't wanna see something and then be too influenced by one thing. So
Hmm.
I still watch a ton of horror, but I feel like, I watch reality. I watch some dramas. I love romantic comedies. I'll always go there. Like, I don't know. I like the variety now where I could just click into something and then you know, just go. But horror always has my heart.
Yes. It's definitely up there. It's definitely up there. It's something that sometimes I'll take breaks. Like, I'll jump into like the romantic comedies. Like, one of my favorites, The Wedding Singer.
Yes.
Check that out.
Yes. Don't even get me started. Do not even get me started. Adam Sandler in any romantic comedy, do not get me started.
Oh
Do
yeah.
not.
Oh yeah.
Him and Drew
50 First
Barrymore.
Dates. Oh yeah. They
Oh my
they
gosh.
they make magic. They make magic. You
Real,
know.
like, not even playing.
Oh yeah. But that's why I'm like, we've had horror comedies, before, but I would love to see, like, in the future, a just a really dope black horror comedy, a romantic horror comedy, where it's like it's actually just really, really good. Like, I feel like we've had some decent ones, but like, I feel like we still there's room.
There is room. There
So,
is room.
you know,
There's
we
definitely room.
definitely got to see that. Definitely got to see that come to fruition. So, my next question for you would be: do you have a favorite subgenre of horror?
Ooh. I would say whatever Ari Aster has going on. I feel like his is very, and I know they call it what do they said it in Scream 5. They called it they referred to it as something specific. But I don't know, like, the fact that it's like there's like seems to be an emphasis on the trauma of the main protagonist of whatever story, whether it's Midsummer or Hereditary. I really, really love Hereditary. I
Yes.
don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. There's something so grounded about it that it still brings the scares. You know what I mean? It
Yes.
still brings all the stuff that you expect from a horror film, but then it also gives you kind of like those more existential questions that as you're watching it, you're just like, oh, like, I don't know. It made me, his Hereditary just kind of really stuck with me. I don't know what subgenre you would call that, but
What's
I do.
Michael, he said elevated horror.
Yes,
That's what they call
yes,
it, you know.
yes, elevated horror.
Or
But then
rainbow phrases, thought-provoking horror. There we
yes,
go.
yes, I do love that. But I will say also, I love a good slasher. So,
Yes.
I feel like that was the time I came up in, was when all the new slashers were coming out, the ones that were kind of self-aware of the
Mm-hmm.
genre. So, we're past the Halloween era and stuff like that. Now we're getting to like the teen slashers. That specific was like, I love that subgenre. I love that subgenre.
Teen slashers.
Teen slashers.
Yes, yes. Chop up them teens. You know, it's gotta it's always fun. You know, seeing teens get stabbed is always, I don't know, it's always
It's so weird too,
yeah.
because like I remember being a teen and like still really enjoying it, because it's just like a part of it is kind of a little bit corny, but they know it's kind of cheesy. Like
Yes.
you rewatch like the original Scream, and it's just like there is a level of like self-awareness of like what they're making, and they know that there's a formula to this, and they're like playing into the formula and saying this is the formula, this is what you can expect, but at the same time, like redirecting, and I don't know, still having like surprises in there. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Or I could just be like, making it sound all grand because that's like just the period I came up in, but that's just what I was watching. And we
It
watched
is
a
what
lot
it
of
is.
them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny because like I was when I was in the theater watching Scream 6, I'm like, man, I'm having fun like watching this movie about these, kids getting chopped up, and I'm like, I'm an adult now, I'm a full grown adult, and I'm just like, yo, is this crazy? Is this crazy that I'm having this much fun just watching, these but it was a good time. It was a good time. It never goes out of style. Never goes out of style.
Right?
We got Rainbow Fright. Shout out to Rainbow Fright. Thank you for stopping by. Spontaneous was a great one.
Oh, I haven't seen that
Believe
one. I'm gonna
around
need to
high
write that
school.
down.
Yes, yes. So that's what I love about the horror community. Always coming with the recommendations. Always coming with the killer recommendations. You know. Now, do you have a favorite horror decade?
Oh, uh, do I have a favorite horror decade? I'd have to say the 2000s.
2000s.
Product
Okay.
of my time. I had to say it. Blair Witch. I think of all the movies that I watched when I was a kid, The Grudge, The Ring, Jeepers Creepers, of course, was in the 2000s. All the sequels to all my favorite slashers were in the 2000s.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just that was like the time for me. 28 Days Later,
Oh,
2000s, one of my favorites of all time. Yeah, that was like my sweet spot. That was when I was most impressionable, I should say.
oh yeah. 28 days later went super hard. Like it was
Oh
a
my
lot.
gosh.
We had a lot of interesting stuff in the 2000s. It was a time. It was definitely a time, especially like the early 2000s. It was a lot of creativity. We had Snoop Dogg,
Oh my
Bones.
gosh. Bones. Don't even, yeah, yeah. Bones, yes. I
Oh,
love Bones.
Bones was top tier. We also had a Joyride. I don't know if you ever seen
Oh my gosh. That's another one. That's another one.
Joyride.
Now, if we're
Yes,
talking about suspense, horror suspense, yes. Candy Cane, yes.
Candy
Rusty
Cane.
Nail, yes. What, that was
But
one of those movies we quoted as kids. No
oh,
lie.
I
Still to
still
this
quote it.
day.
Still to this day. I bought my pink champagne candy cane.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Just the elements of comedy in it too. Steve
Yes.
Zahn. Just like that kind of timing, but then still making it suspenseful and interesting. And it's very simple. It's kind of like Jeepers Creepers. They're on the road. Like, and then all the things that could happen while, you know, You're out and about traveling. I just think that's so cool. I just love
Yeah,
Joyride.
that's why I never can like pick up a police scanner or anything because I'm just
Oh
like,
no,
just don't.
no. I don't like riding next to the big rigs either. I don't like none of that. I want to stay. I want them far away from me on the road. Don't want to deal with it.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of trauma that was caused to us in that era, especially like with the Final Destination, like
Oh my
specifically
gosh.
two with
Yes.
the car wreck, you know.
Yes. Yes. And like I remember that scene where in that same scene where like the logs come off the back of like
Yes,
the bed, the flatbed. Mm-mm. Or even the next one with the roller coaster.
too
See,
much,
it's
too much,
too much,
too
but
much.
so good, so
Yes,
good.
yes. We got a Rainbow. She says, 28 days converted me into a zombie movie lover. Yes, yes.
I
So
feel it. I feel it.
so many great zombie movies, so many great zombie movies out there. You know,
Yes.
definitely a top tier. Now, you spoke about your favorite genre, but I wanted to ask you about like international. Do you get into international horror at all?
Yeah. I mean, I dabble here and there. Like, what was the last? I did get into like this. I wouldn't say it's horror, but more like suspense thrillers. I was watching like a lot of Korean ones. I used to watch K dramas and stuff back in the day. I still kind of do. And I like, I don't know, like Memories of Murder. I was watching Thirst, like movies like
Thirst.
that. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I do like the international horror scene. I do need to delve into it a lot more, but it's, I don't know. It feels like every country brings something different. Like I was recently watching Raw and Titan or Titan
Mm-hmm.
French films, and one was about cannibalism. The other was about like a female serial killer, which I was like, you never see those effectively done in film, and it follows her as the protagonist, or you know what I mean. So, but they made it in a way where you still are like frightened of her, but you still follow her on this journey. So I don't know. It was like a lot of conflicting feelings, but I loved that movie. I was obsessed. I came from the theater. I was just like, my God, this is amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I do need to dabble more, but I do appreciate all kinds of horror, no matter where it comes from.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Rainbow, she says Netflix has a good one streaming. Bulbul is pretty magical. Wow.
Magical.
Yes, got
Oh,
another one to add to my list. And she also says Raw and Titan are some of my faves. Oh, she says it's Indian. Bulbul is Indian. All
bubble.
right. All right. I'm sure I'm butchering that, but yeah, I'll figure out the proper pronunciation, later on. But you said French horror. Have you ever seen High Tension or Hot Tension?
No,
Oh my god! Because
no.
you spoke of female serial killers,
Hmm.
and like I'm not even gonna go like into it because I don't want to give any spoilers. High Tension recommended. I think it's on Tubi. It's always somewhere streaming.
Does it have like an audition kind of vibe?
No, no,
Totally
it's
different.
totally. It's funny because there was a movie that came out. I think Tension. It's high intensity came out like in the 90s. Like it was a made for TV like type miniseries. And I had seen High Tension first, and I would always go up for High Tension. And Xena, the real queen of horror, she was like, "Yeah, you got to check out High Intensity or whatever." And I was like, "Okay, or Intensity. I'll check it out." Then she sent it to me, and I'm like, "Oh, this is a mild version. It's like the Americans made this, and then the French were like, let's sprinkle some crack on this and
Yeah, let's
just
crank it
ramp it
up.
all the way up, and it's one of my favorites of all time. Like I always recommend it to people. High
Okay.
Tension is definitely up there, so if you're because it's like I don't want to give anything away, but yes, from what you just said, I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it.
I definitely would. I just thought of a couple more. Okay, Let the Right One In, the original one. I love
Yes.
that one.
Yes. That's up there.
Love that movie. Just I don't know the feel of it, and then also kind of like the genre bending aspects of it, because it is kind of, it does feel like a little like kids like coming of age romance, but then it's just like, oh, but actually, it's not quite that. I don't
Yes.
know. It's just, that one was a fun one. And then also Funny Games.
Oh,
Love
Funny
that one.
Games is
That
just,
one
it's a good time. It's a good time.
kind of ruined me for a second. I said, wait a minute, like this is, but so good, so good.
It's a good time. Like, and that's what I love about like international horror, whether it's like something like Marianne, which is on Netflix, it's like French horror, or something like Rec, which is I think Spanish horror. It's just like I'm just getting all these things that I don't necessarily get from American, even if America tries to reboot it or remake it and try and do it their own way. I'm like, nah, this ain't the, like, it's
Yeah,
nothing more, that's nothing that leaves a bad taste in my mouth more than watching something in America and then realizing that, oh, this was a remake to something overseas, and then I'm watched the one that was overseas, and it's just like leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds.
yeah. I actually, I think I remember reading about like Let the Right One In when they remade not the television
Yes.
show, but the film. How they were saying just certain things because of the studio's involvement that they didn't think would translate to our audiences. So they, that's how I think that's how a lot of the stuff gets watered down. So it's kind of, kind of sucks in that way. But you do have some that actually turn out good, like The Ring and The Grudge. I thought they,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they did their thing. They
that
did
was
their thing.
good. Like, so I don't know. It's just I feel like it depends. Probably depends on which studio it comes from and who's getting the final word. Because you hear about all these directors. I was like, I wanted to do this, and I had, I visualized this, and then somebody else comes in and says, nah, I ain't gonna play for our audience.
Mm-mm-mm. It's a shame, because it's like you can have someone who redoes like something like The Ring, and then it makes so much money, such a success. So the studios are like, all right, we're gonna remake them all. We're gonna, and it's like that's when it becomes like a little watered down, like because someone, they could have a literal passion for, what's for their own take, for an original take, but it's wild. It gets wild. Like
It does
Rain,
get wild.
yeah.
It does
Rainbow,
get.
she said, Train to Busan is
Oh,
about
I
to be.
love Train to Busan.
Oh, that.
And that lead actor, he was actually in a lot of like romantic, well, specifically one called Coffee Prince, I think. Loved him in that show. So it's like, I don't know. It was like cool to see him in like something totally different because I associated him with one thing, and
Oh
then
yeah,
he's in a horror film and he's like an asshole in it, and I was just like, what? But amazing,
it's
amazing.
top notch. Like I recently saw that for the first time. I think last month, and I was just blown away. I was like, whoa, this is nice. This is nice. They. I don't know. It's just I've been on like my foreign horror kick. It's just been top notch. She says they're remaking Train to Busan. It's going to be Train to New York for
We'll see. This is the thing. I'm not gonna be critical because in the same breath, I do appreciate like for people that act like it's a barrier if even though it's nothing to read subtitles, like
yeah, it's
everybody
nothing.
should watch foreign films. They're amazing. But I do think that it's kind of cool to introduce people. It's a way of introducing it so that people will go back hopefully and watch the original versions. I also think
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's definitely a way for someone to expand, because if they did enjoy like Train to New York, they may go back and watch Train to Busan and appreciate it.
hmm
Um,
hmm
like it's just it is what it is. You either you expand your mind, just like when people sample records, like,
yes,
and when people have issues, they're like, oh, he's sampling this and that. I'm like, if they didn't sample it, I wouldn't go back and appreciate
exactly,
certain
exactly.
things, like
No,
Common when he sampled Bobby Caldwell, for The Light. And when I finally heard the original, it like there was an explosion in my mind, and I
Yes.
appreciated him a lot more. Rest in peace, Bobby Caldwell.
Rest in peace.
But it's sometimes sampling, it works. It
Well, that's
works.
the thing, especially when people complain about it in like the hip hop rap genre. It's just like, come on, that's what the whole genre was founded on: sampling, mixing. Like, come on, like it kind of sucks too, because you feel like, I feel like our, well, this generation is just kind of like, or my generation starting to complain about the new stuff that's coming
Oh
out
yeah.
and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
being redone. And it's just like, but I mean, that's kind of like the foundation of the genre. But it's kind of like, our whole conversation about storytelling. It's like sometimes, in order for the originals to survive and thrive, somebody comes and puts a new spin on it, and then it can actually give that, that it keeps that old thing alive. So I definitely appreciate it on both fronts, musically and from in the film world.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Long live, just uplifting, the past and shedding some light,
Yeah.
shedding some light,
Yeah.
you know. Now, my next question for you would be: could you name a horror film that you wish you could have been on the set for?
Ooh. That I want to be on the set for? I think being on the set would have taken away the magic of it. But I know which one. It's not necessarily a horror film. I don't know. It could be considered. Death Becomes Her.
Oh, it
That's
is.
one that I
That
would
is
like to
horror.
remake. But
That is
and
horror.
that's what I'm saying. Yes, that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
would want to remake. I feel like, and I have this habit, this weird habit of going to like the movies that I love from the past and looking at their reviews and seeing like how people were talking about it at the time.
Oh
People
yeah.
shit all over this movie. Like, and this is people not understanding what the future was going to be, of course, right?
Yeah.
So the future is all about, now plastic surgery is everywhere. It's a common thing. It's, you know what I mean? But at the time, they thought, I guess, that the subject matter and stuff like that, you know, in Death Becomes Her, it just was like kind of like, whatever. This is stupid. But I feel like even more so now, you could remake this film and just, I don't know, expand on this idea of human modification and jealousy and the relationship between two best friends. I don't know. It just, there's so much I get from that story. So much. I rewatch it every year. It's one of those movies I saw as a kid. I remember having that scene of their heads rolling down at the end, from
Yes.
the end of the film. Like, that's what sticks in your mind. That's one of those scenes that stuck in my mind. And I would love to have been on the set of that with Goldie Hawn, Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, and just like seeing how they did like the makeup and the effects. And it was just, for its time, they did an amazing job with the the illusions of Goldie Hawn's stomach, where she looks like she's been shot through her stomach, and then Meryl
Yes.
Streep's
Yes.
head like twisted. Like, oh,
Iconic.
getting excited talking about it.
Yes, it's iconic, and the subject matter, like people are always going to have like some sort of commentary to say about whatever, but it's like this stuff isn't new. Like this subject matter was in the Twilight Zone, the black and white one, way back in the 50s or whatever. So it's like it's not new, but it's still prevalent and it's still relevant. And the further and further we go down the rabbit hole, with the black mirrors and stuff like that, like
Yes.
you're just going to get more people's takes on it. Like it was funny, Death Becomes Her. Like I was thinking, like, the not too long ago, I was like, if I were to remake Death Becomes Her, who would I cast? And in my mind,
Oh,
automatically, Jennifer Tilly and damn, what's her name? Uh the Stifler's mom. I forget her
oh,
name.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Yes, Jennifer Coolidge. Yes, yes, yes. Those.
They would be good. They would be good. I honestly thought of a different route. I was thinking another Jennifer Lawrence, and Emma Stone.
Oh, oh, that'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious.
I think they could carry
Yes,
it. I think they could
yes.
carry it. And for Bruce Willis's role, I'm not sure who I would get as, but it had to be somebody who, I don't know. I'd have to think about that more. But in my mind, I'm just like, if I ever get a crack at that thing, or if anybody else gets a crack at it, like, oh my gosh, it would be so I think it would be really, really fun and a way for the original IP to live on.
Yes, yes, yes. Michael says a classic. Yes, definitely a classic. Rainbow says they're totally talking about a remake with Kate Hudson in her mom's role.
Kate Hudson
Wow.
would kill it. Kate Hudson would kill
Wow.
it. She would kill it. She would kill it.
Wow. Okay, we might, speak it into existence. We might get something. We might
Man,
get something.
give me something. I would love to see that.
Might get something. Now, my next question is, we're in an era right now where we're seeing a lot of like horror and from a black perspective and from people of color's perspective. So do you have any like favorites from the past or favorites of the now, as far as a black horror?
Favorites of the now, I would definitely say Get Out. And I
Yes.
think everybody, you know what I mean? The way
Yeah.
that movie translated for everybody and that theatrical experience was one I'll never forget. Because I feel like when I watched interviews of them talking about it or I talked to other people who saw it, it was like the same, it was a similar experience, especially with, when you have an audience of people of different races. It was just like that universal experience. And I was just like, that's something really unique. And the fact that it was captured at that time, I don't know, it just was, it was something special. That'll always stay with me. So I love, yeah, Get Out. I mean, Eve's Bayou. I consider
Yes.
that as a kid, that movie scared me to death. And I loved everything about it. I loved that it was focused on the women in the family and Megan Good's character and just like Journey Smollett, just as kids, how they were able to kind of carry that movie. And I think that's why in my mind I thought it was for kids when I initially watched it. And then you watched it and you're like, this shit ain't for kids.
Not at all.
But you watch it and then you see Samuel L. Jackson and then he gets killed and then you see like the conflicting kind of stories about him and it's just kind of something so messed up to see, like, especially as a kid, because it's just like, what? He did what? And then I don't know, it's one of those movies that made me feel so like, I don't know, just like I did not know how to process everything that happened. So, you know, it kind of took my mind for a spin.
Oh
So
yeah.
yes, that's definitely one. Definitely Tales from the Hood. Still quoted to this day with my cousins,
Yes.
like
Yes.
brothers. It's just it's
Timeless.
timeless. I'm trying to think of what else. I feel like of course, I mean, even though it wasn't directed or made by a person of color, but Candyman, like in the original, not the new one, but the original. I did love the new
Yeah.
one, but the original is just something about just the feel of that. And I don't know, just it was just so different. And it's something that scared the shit out of me for years and years and years to come.
Oh yeah, it was definitely up there. The original, it definitely had like a lot of commentary, even though it
Yep.
wasn't necessarily like, behind the scenes from somebody of color. Like they really went there. I was actually shocked, even as an adult watching it. I'm like, oh, y'all was
Yep.
going here with it, at this time, really,
Yep.
really,
But it
so
made sense who they cast as the lead too, because she was
yes,
like that outsider going in and, investigating, the project, that building in particular. And so it did kind of, it made sense in that way when I think about it. Like, okay, so yes, but whereas the new one, you see that, we have a new lead taking hold and that new
yes,
lead inhabits, Candyman. So I don't know, or Candyman inhabits him. So
yes.
yeah.
It was definitely, it was a good time. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. It
Yeah.
was a
I love
heavy.
the music too. Music.
Oh,
The
yeah.
I love like the sound cues. Like the best horror films always have like those cues where like even watching Scream, even though, spoiler, Scream 5, Dewey's, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But when Gail talks about Dewey, you get that you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
They're like their romantic music cued in.
Oh yeah.
And then you have like the Scream, like, the song that's also on Peaky Blinders, uh red red right hand, or I forgot what it's called, but like that don't, don't. I know I'm probably not. It doesn't sound
It,
nothing like it, but you get what I'm saying.
yeah, I
Like
know what you're talking
every
about. Yeah.
every movie that has like a particular score that goes with a particular character, or I think that adds more to like that sensory overload, and then it sticks in your mind and it becomes like a part of your memory of that film. So yes.
Oh yeah, it makes I guess it's like an element of participation because it's like a wink to the audience, like
Yes.
what's gonna come, or remember this, remember when.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
it's definitely needed. It's definitely needed.
It
You
is.
know. Now, we're in 2023, and growing up, especially being somebody of color, I didn't always feel like accepted as far as like, loving my love for horror and stuff like that. So, but now having like this huge horror community and just seeing all these content creators and whether it be people directing, writing, uh whether they're reviewing or whether they're doing panels, like it's just so much out there. Like how does it feel to be a part of that, in the year 2023?
See, I don't consider myself a part of it yet. You know what I mean? I'm in the
Wow.
mindset of it's just like I see what they've done. I've seen Janiska Bravo. I've seen Misha Green. I've seen what they've done. Like, so in my mind, it's just like I can't even be in the same conversation yet. Like once I put my stuff out there, then I could talk about it. But I just have so much respect for the people that have really just grinded it out and have done it
Yeah.
and have like this catalog of work, or even the ones that are just popping into the scene. It's just like, oh my gosh, like that's the conversation. I'm still trying to get in that conversation, you know?
Oh, I feel like you're there. I feel like it's always, I guess, like when you're creating, there's always that feeling like, okay, what does it feel like when when the wheels are turning? Like, does it when I've arrived or when I'm in the conversation? What does it feel like? So I feel like it's never really going to feel like we think it's going to feel, but I do feel like you are in that conversation. You coming up with your directorial debut, and you're already writing and stuff like that. Like you're there. I've see big things. I see big things for KK in the future.
Ah,
It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope.
I
You
hope so. Oh, so I just want to make. I realize like I just want to make movies.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't I, I don't know. Like when I originally went to when I went to school initially for film, um, in my mind I was just like I want to be somewhere a part of the process. I want to be
Yes.
somewhere a part of like whether it's being the person that helps gets them made or being like the creative driver behind it. I just want to be a part of that process because I think film in general is just so influential, and it's something where if we have a conversation, we can always relate to what we've seen. You know what I mean? Not everybody has the same experiences that we can relate to each other, but film and the stuff you see on television even is always something that like connects people, and there's so much power in it, and power in seeing what kind of possibilities are out there, from your craziest science fiction flick to like a drama, that there's all these possibilities. And it is kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like that one of those things that kind of thread us together, when we think about culture. So I've always thought just anywhere working in that realm, no matter what capacity, whether it's
Yes.
indie or whether it's I'm working on a TV show or a reality show or whatever, like just being a part of that would be amazing.
Yes, you just want to be in it.
Yeah, I
You
just
just
want to
want to
be
be
in it.
there creating.
Yes.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit. That's what it's all about. Just being in the mix, being in the mix.
Oh yeah, I love being in the mix. Love it.
Yes, yes. Now my next question would be, do you have a horror movie that you wish you could have seen for the first time again?
Ooh, that's a good one too. Seen again for the first time. I would say Evil Dead 2013.
Ooh.
Evil Dead 2013.
Thank you for showing the remake some love because
Oh, that's one of the films that I based my whole reboot like argument off of, because it was just so well executed, especially when you compare it to the original. And just, I honestly, I think it's better.
Oh, bold
yeah,
this is a safe space. This is a safe space.
Betty did his thing on that movie. Like, I have to give it all the praise. That one, I took that movie seriously. I saw that in theaters with my friend in college.
Yeah,
movie scared the shit out of me.
I didn't know what to expect, because I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, especially like of the first one. A lot of people go up for 2 and 3, but I really love the first one. And I went into the remake. Fetty, he was actually there. It was like a screening after the movie, like he was doing a Q&A and stuff like that. So it was just awesome. And I was watching the movie and I'm like, okay, I wonder, like, let me keep my expectations low, because I don't want to just come in here all high and mighty, like, oh, this isn't like the original at all, and it starts off in just that opening scene where they have the daughter tied up, and I'm just like, oh, what do we do? This is something fresh. This is something fresh. I like it.
Yes.
It was
yes. I love the fact that movie, it kind of, I like how it actually gave the characters motivation for staying at the cabin. Like,
yes.
It was like, it all made sense why they wanted to stay at the cabin. And I also love anything that kind of delves into the similarities between demonic possession and mental health, or demonic possession and drug use. Like, it, you know what I mean? Like, how it could be perceived as one thing if you're thinking in like this like logical like mindset, but then if you're thinking of like the paranormal, if you're religious, you're going to think of it also in a certain way. And they could be one and the same. They could be the same things. But the fact that film just kind of gave us a real reason to believe what was happening.
Yes.
And not, you know what I mean? But before they got trapped and they couldn't drive away, it was just like, up to that point, why would you stay? And they gave us a reason why they would stay, because they've done this with the sister before. I forgot what the main character's name was, but they've done it with her before.
Mia.
Yeah, Mia. She's relapsed before. They really wanted to see her get well, and they were going to force her to do it there. And I love the fact that they thought, oh, she was just, having the same symptoms of, a person who's, detoxing. But no, it wasn't that. And just like with all remakes, the graphics get better.
Yes.
The sound cues, everything about it was better. It had a budget. Before, I know the original Evil Dead was like, it was like very, very small budget, but did big things for its time. But then this one, I just feel like it felt a lot more serious. Like, even when she's out in the woods and then the trees get her, and that scene in the original, it looks like it's like somebody trying to do like a nasty, like like you know what I mean? Like trying to do like a porno scene, like a
it was less sexual in the remake.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in the remake, it actually looked like a terrifying like rape. It feels like a rape scene to me. So it's just like that kind of stuff. Like, in my mind, put Evil Dead 2013 on like a whole like upper echelon.
Yes. Are you excited about Evil Dead Rise?
Oh yes. Oh, it's on my calendar. It's on my calendar. I'm going to go see it.
Oh, it's definitely up there. Like the franchise, is amazing. But what they were able to do with that remake, it was something special. Like you said, from the prosthetics, which I really enjoyed that they did that. Just to the story, I was like, okay, y'all really did something special. I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Now, my next question would be, what does horror do for you mentally, for your mental health, if anything?
Honestly, it kind of gives me peace of mind. And I'll explain it. For one, so glad this ain't happening to me as I'm watching it, right? There's this little sense of hope, but then there's also this idea of, hey, this might happen to me. What if this was happening to me? And then you start kind of getting to like the mental gymnastics of what you would do. And by the end of a horror film, I kind of feel prepared for something else that could be in the realm of possibility, no matter how crazy it is. It's just like, this is how I would react. This is probably how I would da-da-da. Like, I start thinking like that after I watch horror films or even suspense thrillers. Like, it's just automatically, it's kind of like how when you watch true crime too. It's just like, it makes you kind of aware of something that you might not have been totally aware of before. And even though it's a totally fake fictional scenario, and somewhere in my mind, it's kind of working like, oh, this is kind of informative in a way.
Oh yeah, it's funny because some things I'm like, okay, how would I react in this situation? Or it's empowering, but some things it's like, this is how I would die in this situation.
Yes, exactly. And then you kind of become at peace with it. That's another thing. It's like, okay, if this was happening, I'd be at peace with how I die. Because like, look at what's going on. You know what I mean? So if this happens, okay, I'm gonna be ready to go.
Yes. It's one of those, like, even like with the Saw franchise, like some of those traps, I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not gonna cut myself open and sew myself and grab a key and then sew myself shut. It's just, it is what it is. Jigsaw, like I'm sorry if I ruined your game, sir, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's over. It's gonna end with me right now. I'm done. I'm out. Yes.
Yeah. I just messed up your franchise. Yeah, your sequels. It's going to end with me. It's going to end with me. We got hello. We got Auntie Spooky in the building, and she says same. It gives a certain sense of courage. Yes. Oh, she also says train to Busan.
Yes.
Oh yes, it's definitely up there. Like Train to Busan. And what's that other zombie movie? The one with Brad Pitt.
World War Z?
Yeah, I was
like, the track star zombies.
Yeah,
I can't.
I was like, it's let me shoot me up with the infection.
Go ahead and give it. Yeah, go ahead and give it. Give me whatever they got, and then let me just be a part of it because I can't. I can't. I ain't fighting against that.
Yeah,
That's evolution. In my mind, that's evolution.
We
already going there.
Yeah, we already. It is what it is at this point. I'm not the hero in this story. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not the hero in this story.
Well, see, it provides you a sense of, realistically, like, am I really about that?
Oh
that zombie fighting life? Probably not, and that's okay. I'm gonna go. I made my peace with it while watching this movie.
Terrible. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like that's some shit though. Like you making peace with certain scenarios, and it teaches you about life, as well. So yeah, wow.
Yeah, we all gonna go out one day.
Now, do you have any favorite horror television shows? Like from
oh my gosh, American Horror Story, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I would consider Dexter horror. I love Dexter. Those are the ones that I'll go back and watch over and over and over and over again, like ad nauseum. Like I am obsessed with those shows. Yes. And Law and Order SVU. That's an honorable mention. I consider that horror too. Like those scenarios sometimes are the ones that are just like, damn, this is like really real. You know what I mean? But American Horror Story is like my mainstay.
Oh, American Horror Story is definitely they've gone up and down, but they're definitely a staple. Like, do you have a favorite season?
Oh my gosh, the ones that I rewatch is a block of season 1 through 7, and I will say season 2 was it's my favorite. Season 2 when they're in the mental institution.
Yes,
love that season. I've had a growing appreciation for Roanoke just because it changed the format completely. They made it like a reality show retelling. And I thought that was so brilliant. And as I rewatched that, it was just like, damn, this is actually like an amazing, like, still has like comedic points, but then still really dark. But then of course, I love Coven. I'm a Coven girl.
Coven is on is
Obsessed.
top tier.
And then Freak Show. Freak Show is my shit. Love Freak Show.
I have not seen Freak Show, but I've definitely
With the clown?
I've only seen, was it Murder House, Asylum,
Mm-hmm.
and Coven, and then I saw I think the 80s one, 1984,
Mm-hmm.
and then the one everyone hated, the one with it was half aliens and then, or no, half,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
half aliens
I
and,
like the first
vampires.
half. I
Yeah.
like the first half of the vampires. The aliens, they lost me. But
Yeah.
if you get a chance, go back and watch Freak Show.
Oh yeah,
The
Freak Show.
music,
Yeah.
I love the story. I loved everything about it.
So, and what you mentioned Dexter as well. So like who, I want to know, like who is your favorite serial killer from Dexter? You
Oh my gosh, don't play. I mean, I would love to say Trinity because Trinity changed the whole story up.
He fucked my whole month up. Like I was
Oh
on the
my
couch.
God.
I was on the couch like upset. I was upset,
Yes, that one was the one that just kind of changed the whole dynamic of the world that Dexter had kind of built for himself and really made Dexter like human. Like the whole series is just him thinking that he's a monster and then, realizing that he's human and that he could have normal things. You know what I mean? He
Mm-hmm.
could have a wife, he could have a family, he could do this and realizing how normal he could be. But that season, it was just like, oh, damn, I don't know where Dexter's going to go from here because he's kind of met his match and he's first obsessed with him and then he really has to face him head on, unlike his other adversaries before. Well, with the exception of all the other main adversaries. I'm lying because everybody finds out who he is eventually and they just like, okay. But I do have a growing appreciation for Miguel Prado, his whole
Yes.
trajectory, dude.
Yes.
That where he starts murdering and he starts going off and doing his own thing, and I love that season. I love that season.
Oh yes, they definitely had a lot of good character arcs in that
Oh
show.
yes, yes.
Definitely did.
Did you watch New Blood?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Mm.
I binged it actually. I took my second COVID shot and I was just in bed watching Dexter New Blood and I enjoyed it. Like it wasn't like the original, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Like
See, that's why I loved it. That's why I loved it. You
yeah.
put Dexter in a whole different setting with
Mhm.
a totally different life, totally different identity, and then you watch him basically kind of revert back to old behavior that he thought he kind of shook off. But then
Uh-huh.
you also realize that he also has a different conscience now. It's Deb instead of his dad. And that just changed the dynamic too, because she talks to him in a whole different way. And I loved how they executed that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was definitely top tier. Definitely top tier. We got Whitney. Hello, Whitney,
Hi,
the
Whitney.
Reader fan. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Now uh Auntie Spooky popping in had just brought a question that popped up in my head because she was like my last interview that I did, and we were talking a lot about like the horror aspect and children's movies and just children's media. So how do you feel like about um horror aspects, when it comes to like children's media and movies and stuff like that?
Hmm. I know as a kid I enjoyed them. Like I feel like Disney had that show so weird. In
Yes.
the darkness is
Yes.
light. I love that. Like I don't know. There was just as a kid watching it, I don't know, that's just the stuff I really remembered the most was all the horror stuff or I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example of like something that was like really dark as to be watching as a kid. But I don't know.
It's
I
so
think
much. Like,
like wait, what do you
are you afraid of the
wait,
dark?
are you afraid of the dark? Goosebumps?
Goosebumps,
Yes. And I used to read I feel like all of us as kids, we used to read like the R.L. Steins. Like we
Yes.
used to read like the horror books. Like there's something about Anne Rice. and like that genre, Stephen King even,
Yes. Yes. Did you
like
ever check out Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
yes, yes,
Top tier.
like
Top tier.
I don't know, I don't know. I feel like because as a kid too, you're scared of a lot more things.
Yeah.
So it just feels right in a sense. I don't know how to explain it, but it kind of that goes hand in hand. And plus, people are telling you what to be afraid of all the time as a kid. Like,
Facts.
oh, don't do that. Oh, make sure you watch yourself when you're walking across the street. Make sure nobody, my dad, whenever he used to drop us off anywhere, like while I was going to the mall or whatever, he'd be like, make sure nobody take you. You know what I mean? Like, just like it's always, but that's how my parents are in general. Like everything was like, it's a serial killer. You could be murdered. Be prepared. So that's another aspect of just like, where my
Like
mind goes. Like,
but that's parents. I think parents are, they go to the extreme sometimes. Like somebody may forget to lock a door. They're like, "Oh, you didn't lock this door. Somebody could have came in and killed us
yes,
all."
yes.
You know?
It's always a woulda, coulda, shoulda, but it's like the worst scenario ever.
Yeah.
Worst scenario ever. Yeah, I like anytime I go on a trip. Like recently, I went to Costa Rica to visit my cousin, and my mom and dad were like, "Yeah, well, you might want to watch Turistas before you go." Like just stuff like that. It's like, why would I watch that before I'm going somewhere? You know what I mean? Like, it just I don't know. It's like the horror references. It's always like top of mind whenever they're trying to scare me. So I don't know.
Uh,
It's just baked in.
Oh yeah. No, I had to cool off. I know when I go to like I went to Paris a couple years ago, and we were supposed to go out to this club, and all that was playing in my mind was watching An American Werewolf in Paris, and just
Uh,
and From Dusk Till Dawn, and just how they lock the
uh,
doors and eat the Americans. And I'm just like, nah, we cool. We cool. I think we'll be cool going to this bar. I don't think we should go to that. Let's maybe next time, So
yes,
it's
yes,
it's some of the things just play on your mind. It's just traumatic. Even though you didn't go through it yourself, they just play on your mind,
yes. It
play on
all
you.
feels possible.
Yes, yes. Auntie Spooky says, the monster kids deserve content. Yes, yes.
I've
The
never
monster.
seen the Monster Kids.
Yeah, me neither. I've got to. It's another thing I'm gonna write on my list. It's a lot of like people are always recommending things, so I definitely gotta. It's always something to check out in the horror genre. Always something to check out.
That's the
Like,
beauty of it.
yes, yes, yes. But before we switch from television, did you ever check out uh Tales from the Crypt? That
Oh,
was
of course. That was one of those that I watched as a kid too. Had no business.
like
No
I would
business.
I would run away because I was so scared of the intro. I would run away when the intro was playing, and then I would come back to watch the rest of the show because it was just something so terrifying. Probably even as an adult, I don't know if I could walk down that staircase.
Yeah, where it like takes you through. Yeah, it's a lot. Then you finally get to the Crypt Keeper, and he looks all like, yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
yeah,
Creep
John.
Show too. Watching those movies freak me
Oh,
the hell
creep,
out.
creep show. Creep show was definitely top tier. Like they have the show wasn't bad either. I really enjoyed the show. On Shutter, but the first two movies straight classic. I every once in a while I'll say thanks for the ride, lady. Just 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 because it left an imprint on my brain. Somewhere up there. Now, do you have a favorite horror villain?
I'm gonna have to go back to the Creeper again. Well, he is one of my favorites, I will say,
Yeah.
just because he looked like a gargoyle to me, and I used to love the show Gargoyles as a kid. I was like, that's what he had, because
Yes.
nobody says what he is, but in my mind, I was like, he looks dead on a gargoyle. The hair, you know what I mean, the stature.
Gargoyle.
He looks like a
Wow.
gargoyle to me, and the fact that he hung out at a church. I was like, okay, gargoyles normally sat perched up on churches. I don't know. It's just like that was like in my mind, like, oh,
Okay, that's a first. That's a
gargoyle.
first. Yes. Interesting. Interesting. Now, do you have a favorite final girl or final boy?
Ooh, who's my favorite? Do I have a favorite?
Is someone that stands out, or someone that you may identify with?
Yeah, the weird thing is I didn't really identify with a lot of the ones that we saw in the slashers growing up. So I was just like, come on, y'all. You know what I mean? Even as a kid, you're just like, come on. You know what I mean? But I did like when they fought back. I did, you know what I
Oh
mean? Of
yeah.
course, everybody likes when they fight back. But even just leading up to everything, like, yeah, Jennifer Love Hewitt couldn't even really. No. I'm trying to think, like, who was a final girl or final guy that I was just like, I feel like realistically, like, Get Out was the one I could understand the most and why he didn't leave and stuff like that. But I know there's got to be some that I could relate to, but I just can't think. I can't think of anyone that I was just like, yeah, like,
Well, yeah,
maybe
but
that's. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
well, if it ever comes to you, you can always send it to me. But I mean, like Chris would be a good one from Get Out. Chris is a valid.
Yeah,
He's a valid
he's he was good. I do. And I keep going back to Jeepers Creepers, but something about Trish
one. Yeah.
and like recognizing that something wrong is happening, and then you get this weird psychic calling you throughout like your whole ordeal, like
Yes.
telling you what's going to happen, and you're in a sense trying to fight the inevitable, but you don't know it's the inevitable yet. And it's something that's paranormal too. It's not like a regular guy. It is like a literal, you know what I mean? A flying creature, and then you're also with a sibling, you know what I mean? So I think that changes the dynamic a lot too. It makes it a lot more impactful because you're trying to protect your little brother and while you guys are running away from this thing. And I don't know. I keep going back to that one, but I'm sure there's plenty of other films besides Get Out that I can relate to the final girl. But yeah, all of them, I never see myself as them. That's an interesting thing. I never thought about it.
Wow.
I never see myself as them.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So not just in general, or you may, or do you more identify with the killer? Or
I don't identify with. I kind of like. It's kind of like in my mind, like couldn't be me though, kind of thing. Like it's like, yeah, wouldn't you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like even
yeah.
if it did happen, it would definitely not go down that way, kind of thing. So I don't know. It's kind of. I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, I don't really relate to. No,
No,
I was.
it's
Yeah, it's
valid.
hard.
It's valid. Not everybody's gonna, because I could definitely see, like, because we were talking about earlier, like watching these movies and you're like, you know what, I wouldn't have made that decision, or this is how this would have ended up, or this would have made this movie 5 minutes long because this is what I would have did. I would have, I wouldn't have gone swimming, in a haunted lake. I wouldn't have got possessed. So I definitely understand. I definitely understand. You know. Now my next question, because we're about to wrap it up, getting down to the last couple questions of the interview. So I want to thank you, for rocking with me, and answering all the questions, and just being an awesome guest.
Oh,
So
likewise. Thanks for having me. This
oh
has
yeah,
been so exciting and fun for me.
listen, this is what it's all about. It's about, mingling with the horror community, and just having a good time, now my question would be, we're getting into the age of the metaverse, and just more advanced virtual reality and stuff like that. So there's going to be a space for horror in there. So if I were to put on the Oculus goggles, what would KK's room or universe look like what would I be seeing in your metaverse?
In my metaverse, you know what? It would kind of be, I hate to say it, but it'd be kind of be like have you seen that Scarlett Johansson movie where she's like an alien and like she like sleeps with she's about to sleep with the dudes, but then she like basically takes the skin off their bodies and
Oh
then they get
yeah.
transported. Whatever that portal was where everything was just all dark and it looked kind of like I feel like that's what my metaverse would be. Or like when people are in like the upside down on Stranger Things.
Oh shit.
when Eleven's having her visions of looking at like people on the other side and you don't really see anything, I think it would just be that. And then whoever comes.
Gosh, I'd have to walk into yours sober. I couldn't be, I couldn't I'd have to put the activities down, walking into your you walking around, then all of a sudden Vecna, just
Yeah. Well, that's
slowly.
the thing. You imagine this thing suddenly like appearing or people like coming, like that's how, I don't know. That's what I think of when I think of meta.
Or that monster, that tornado spider monster, or whatever the hell it was called, that was prevalent in the first couple seasons or whatever. It was just like, no, I couldn't. I don't know. Like it's funny. Like I watch a lot of horror movies, but for me, what scares me the most is tornadoes. So Twister is definitely up
Really?
there.
Twister? I love Twister.
Yes.
Yes. I haven't watched that in such a long time.
It's a classic. It's still, frightens me to this day because I'm like, that shit is real, like. So
oh my gosh. Natural disasters, man.
Yeah. That's you could plan for them, but it's like it's so much you could do, so much you could do,
Yeah.
But for some reason they never these tornadoes never pick up like a Jason Voorhees, or they never pick up ghosts. Like you never see Ghostface in a tornado or something like that.
No.
Like it's, you never see like we have all these movies, Sharknado and Fishnado and Alligator Nado. Like, when are we gonna get Zombie Nado? When are we gonna get a tornado full of zombies?
That would be sick. And then drops down and then just wreaks havoc as the tornado's just like, yeah. I can see that.
Or Demon Nado, it's just spinning around. Then you get possessed. You get possessed by the.
That would be sick. That would be sick.
Yeah, we're sci-fi. Cut the check. Sci-fi. Cut the check. We need it. My very last question for you would be: if you could spend a day in the life of your favorite, horror villain, or whether it be like a spirit, person, creature, you spend 24 hours as this person or creature, who would it be?
You know what? Whatever that thing was in no, I wouldn't want to be him. No, I wouldn't want to be him.
Now I'm interested in who that was.
I was gonna say the thing in Sinister.
Oh, damn.
Because that was just real, just like,
yeah,
what?
that was
Where did you come from, dude?
Yeah.
Like his appearance, everything about him was just like, what? But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Samara from The Ring.
Ooh, so you want to crawl out of the well in the tell? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and she had powers when she was living, so I just try to imagine. Okay, now I'm restricted. I still have my powers, and what would I do to kind of make myself live on forever so that I can take more souls with me, kind of thing.
Yes. I would definitely. I could definitely see that. That'd be a fun role for you. That'd definitely be a fun role. Samara. That's.
I mean, if you're gonna be damned to hell, I mean.
Yeah, you might as well have
something to do.
Yeah, you want to have a mission. You want to.
Yeah.
You want to. You just don't want to be kicking it around or have someone else assign you something to do. Like
exactly.
Like Spawn.
Exactly. I don't want to be like the others where I don't know what I mean. I don't know I'm dead, and then I find out, and then it's like, oh, and then I go back to not knowing again. I would hate that. So I would want to have like a purpose, as like I just rewatched Ghost Ship for the first time in a long time. That dude that was on Dexter too. Forgot what his real name is, but he was bringing on people to kind of get taken by the ship. Like I would want a job, that kind of job where I get to like be. Play a different person and then lure people in and then gotcha.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. I love
Yeah.
it. I love that. I love that answer because it makes me think about like just I wouldn't want to be dead and absent-minded or dead and dumb and just not know what's going on, not know that I'm dead. Like I want to know. I want to know,
Yes.
so
Some agency, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, something. I want to be aware. I want to be aware, damn it. I want to be aware. But yes, thank you so much for joining me tonight, Kirsten. For this chat. It was great getting to know you a little bit better through the lens of horror. And chopping it up about some of your favorite things, and also the project you got coming up. Deliver Us. Excited about that. You also got the Indiegogo campaign, going. So
Yes.
I'm going to have that in the description below. So if you wanna donate and make this thing as clean and crisp as possible, make sure you check that out, and make sure you also follow her. KK Flips the Script. I love your name. KK Flips the
Oh
Script.
my gosh,
You
don't
know.
even. I like. I'll. It started with, of course, the writing thing, but then
Yeah.
I had like my little YouTube channel where I was reviewing movies. But I
Oh,
was
I
like, man,
saw it. I
I
saw
don't.
it.
No, no, no. I was like, no, I gotta make movies first. I gotta make movies first. Then I'll feel better about like giving my
Yeah.
commentary. You know what I mean? I wanna. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh yeah, oh
Yes.
yeah, but it's fun. It's all in fun as long as you pumping it out and creating, and I definitely see that you're in the mode, especially with the pitch that you gave me about Jeepers Creepers earlier. Like I was like, damn, I'm sold, I'm sold, I'm sold.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
No, you pretty much summed it up. Thank you so much. This is, I don't know, I've had so much fun. I was a little nervous,
Oh
but
yeah.
I mean, because I can go on all day about this stuff, but you have really great questions, like stuff I
Thank
never
you.
really even thought about. So thank you so much for, you know, having allowing me to come on this forum and talk about it with you. It was
Oh,
amazing.
Oh yes, thank you. It was fun. It was fun chatting it up with you, and I would love to have you back. On one of the panel discussions where get a bunch of people on the chat, and just talk about different topics or whatever. Like I would love to have you on one of those nights.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, definitely welcome. Thank you to the chat. Thank you, Whitney, for joining us. Auntie Spooky. Thank you, Rainbow Fright, Michael, everybody who was showing love tonight. Thank y'all. And that's been another episode of Evil Live. Make sure you follow this lady, KK Flips the Script, on Instagram and everything that she's got going on. Make sure you follow Deliver Us also on Instagram, because they're coming up with something very, very special. And they've got some very, very talented people involved. Shout out to Ivory Littles. She's just amazing. She's just amazing. So thank you to everybody for joining tonight. That's been another episode. And as always, peace, love, and horror. And we're out. And we're out. Peace out. Peace out.